All right. Well, looks like we're good to go. So, welcome everybody to 2025. Congratulations for making it through another year. As always, it's awesome to have you all here. And we are going to we got I got mimosas in my very sweet McDonald's 1999 cup here because we're classy like that. And I have a bunch of miniatures to unbox from a variety of different companies. I have some from our good friends over at Steam Forged Games. I have a handful of stuff from Whiz Kids, and I figured some of these are random, some of these are not. And I can always just cut these down and release these as videos after the fact. But the random ones, it's always more fun to do that with all of you to watch it. And I recently just realized I could use an iPhone. And that's just something I've known for a while, but I haven't tested. Is using an iPhone for miniatures as like the miniature cam because it will be like omnifocus as opposed to my my like SLR camera where I'm always kind of racking focus in and out because I'm a noob and never really figured out how to fix the focus settings on that. So enjoy, have a cocktail if you're not obviously too hungover from yesterday, which I totally understand. Um but yeah, I thought we could maybe ring in the new year with some fun stuff, and hopefully I'll be back online, later this evening with something. I don't know if it's going to be D&D. It depends on how the rest of the chat um uh if the rest of the team is not too hungover, we'll be back playing Fandelver later this evening. If not, uh well, then I'll be live doing something this evening in place of Fandelver. And yes, thank you to everybody for all the New Year wishes. Hope you're all having a good time. We're going to get started here in just a sec. We have a couple of different options to kick us off. We have Whiz Kids Return of the Dragons here. This is their re-release of their Tyranny of Dragons miniatures. I thought it only fitting given the fact that I'm currently playing in a Tyranny of Dragons campaign, that we obviously unbox these. Now, my fun fact, my first official Whiz Kids miniatures, or really D&D miniatures of any kind, were the OG 2014 Tyranny of Dragons miniature set. And if you had those, you know that one of the major issues with them is they were all off scale. None of the miniatures were properly to scale for what they're supposed to be. Like all of the giants are large size instead of huge size. So they re-released them in this new one here. Oh god, don't start with the piss benders nonsense. Anyway, here's Return of the Dragons. We have, also fitting for my other campaigns, we have a Vecna Eve of Ruin box set of miniatures to unbox. We have, from the folks over at Steam Forged, we have a Ruins of Symbarum, the Corrupted Koloss box here. And the Gem in the Barrow Ruins of Symbarum Epic Encounter set. And lastly, Whiz Kids sent me over because they own, NECA and HeroClix and all that, the Iconics Eye of the Beholder miniature as well. Let's see. I was chatting with somebody yesterday. Do you think Edge could lose a Star Wars IP since they seem to be doing nothing with it? Oh, so this is the Fantasy Forge Games or whatever, the Star Wars box set. I don't know what goes into losing a box like an IP if you don't do anything with it. There may be something where you have to produce something every so often. I don't know. Is that set publicly available? You're talking about the Return of the Dragon set. I'm gonna look that up right now. That's good information to have as we go into an unboxing here. Let's go ahead and look up so we can also get you guys the price. All right, it looks like it is in pre-order. Q1 2025 is the Return of the Dragon set. So we are getting into that a little bit early. You know what? Let's start with that. All right. It's the newest campaign I'm playing in. So I will go ahead and pop this open. And again, we'll kind of frame this like it's a video so that it'll be easier for me to cut this down later. And yeah, I hope everybody's having a great new year. It just started, so hopefully it's not going bad for you. Unless you're hungover, which I understand. Move this mimosa out of the way and this box out of the way. All right. So, here we go. What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and we are going to do an unboxing of the Whiz Kids Return of the Dragons. This is the reprinting of their Tyranny of Dragons miniature set from back in 2014. It is currently unavailable to the public. It is set to release in Q1 of 2025, which technically we are in Q1 of 2025 as of you watching this. It is set for a brick, as you see here, to retail for $199.92. That is a little much. I'll be honest. That's definitely inflation. I remember buying these minis back in the day, and they were significantly cheaper. But this is a brick. They call this a booster brick. That's 8 boxes. That's what you get inside one of these. So each one will come with 4 miniatures on the inside, 1 larger scale miniature, and 3 smaller scale miniatures. That large size could be a large size mini. It could be a huge size mini. I don't really know what's going to happen, except I do remember what these were like when I bought these back in the day. Obviously, the chase pulls you're going to want to get out of these are going to be the dragons, right? Where it's a dragon set. Looking at the side of the box, I see a red dragon, I see a guard drake, I see Resir, a young red dragon. This side has a young silver dragon, a diva or deva, an Orog fighter, a half-dragon veteran. So, I don't know what else is inside the set. I have not taken the time to look up what's in it because it's more fun when we find out on our own. And then when we get to the end of this video, we can kind of just talk about what we think are our favorites. Also, if you're watching this live, say hi to YouTube watching this later. But let's go ahead and dive into our first box. Tape on both edge. We'll pop this open here. And then inside, we have... Ooh, this looks like a good one. We have our plastic kind of shell. We're going to head and pull this out. And it has 1 larger mini. Now, this one actually was a little loose in the container, which is unfortunate, because that is a good way to get stuff broken or busted. And then the smaller ones are all wrapped in bubble wrap. So let's go ahead and head over here to our miniature camera. Put my little rotating display stand in place there, because with this new setup we should actually be able to see all sides of it no problem. So first up we have a young black shadow dragon. Let's go ahead and hop over to this new display here, and we'll move our microphone over so you guys can take a look at this. So first of all, we'll go ahead and bring everything closer so you can get a good look at this. Take a look at that. Now that is a beautiful thing. Look at how, like, you can kind of make out almost like a greenish translucentness to it. But look at all the detail in the scaling and things. This is going to be pretty hard to beat, I'm not going to lie. A shadow dragon, and like you could see that it's very clearly got the translucentness to it. Young black shadow dragon as the first box we open. That is a pretty solid pull overall. So I'm a huge fan of that. Let's go ahead and move into our next. This is one of our smaller scale miniatures. We have a green hag here. I'll bring her a little closer to the camera here. And you can see, again, nothing too crazy. She's got a little bit of like a translucent magical effect there in her hand. Again, pretty generic green hag miniature. You can actually make out her facial expressions pretty well. I'm gonna bring this a little bit closer so we can get a little bit more light on these minis. There we go. Now we can really kind of get a good look at the face there. All right, Green Hag. Next up. Oh, this one looks like it's a smaller scale. We might be looking at a small size miniature, if I can get it out of the bag here. Yep, all right, it is Goblin Fighter. I might drop us down a little bit to get us a little more at the miniature height here. So here you can see, again, we got a little bit of armor on the arm there. Nothing too crazy as far as detail or what's going on, but yeah, I'm you know, you're never going to be upset to have goblins, and if we get duplicates, I'm not going to be upset to have duplicate goblins, because that's always something you're going to want to have more of, because you're always going to need goblins. All right, and then we have Barbarian. Just standard kind of human looking female barbarian. Not too much detail on the face, gotta say. She's got some taste in wearing those orange pauldrons, so good for her. She knows what she's talking about. I don't love the arm wraps and the leg wraps. I think that's supposed to be fur, like a fuzzy, like she's a northern kind of maybe Uthgard style barbarian. I don't love that though, because I don't think that really translates well to the camera. All right, next up, into box number 2. This is, Michael, this is the new Tyranny of Dragons set. It's technically not released yet. So this is coming out in quarter 2021. All right, our large miniature for this set here, we have the Oni. Again, a deceptively, sometimes called an ogre mage, deceptively powerful monster for what it is. This dude's absolutely ripped. Check out those pecs, man. Those muscles are nothing to mess around with. And again, you can see there's actually some nice detail here on the back with the kind of tatters and holes in the cape there, which I like. And again, if you're worried about the glaive kind of being bent like that, that's a pretty standard thing for these plastic style miniatures. A heat gun, a hair dryer, a little bit of hot water, and you can just kind of loosen up and kind of reshape the glaive to be whatever you like. The only thing I can't really make out too well is his face. Let's see if we can't get... It's kind of hidden by the hair there. But we have our Oni. Yeah. Next up here, looks like we're going to have, because remember, this was the first set of miniatures for 5e, we're going to have a lot of kind of generic, and it is, I don't know if there's been like new replacements for anything, but we are getting kind of like the, all of the original. So here, that's a lot better. There's our Hobgoblin kind of fighter here, Hobgoblin captain, in their kind of traditional, in the 2014 Monster Manual, purple style armor. Again, pretty solid detail, decent facial expressions there. You know, kind of everything is sort of well defined, as it were. We can see all the armor. Sword's a little bit bent, but that might not be a bad thing in the grand scheme. And our next up here, we have, I think we are, oh, we have a gnome wizard here. So again, I would have liked to see maybe some sort of magical effect, translucent or otherwise, kind of on this, but we have kind of, again, a well cultured gnome here with their orange orb on the top of their wizard staff. I can definitely applaud that. And then again, nothing too crazy. It's not, I'll be honest, if I was playing a gnome wizard and this was my miniature, I might be kind of bummed because it's not very flashy. And it, like, I mean, I guess you could use it, right, for a NPC gnome wizard. But if it's a player character, you're probably going to want something, you know, fancier, right? Wouldn't you want something a little bit nicer, something a little flashier for yourself? Not too much to say about this. It's just a ballista. It's cool looking, though. I like the kind of curve It's a recurve ballista with these kind of points on the end. It looks like it might even be able to do a little bit of defense from large, creatures attacking your ballista with these kind of points on the outside end. This is another one of those. I feel like it kind of falls into the area of like generic monster, like generic animal creatures, like horses and things, where it's something you're not like super excited to get, but you're not going to be upset that you have it in the long run because it's something you're going to want to have several of. Again, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of that gnome wizard. It was kind of not my favorite, but all right, we're on to box number 3 here. Oh boy. All right, we're cooking with this. We're gonna have to zoom ourselves up here for our young blue dragon pull. Now that, let's go. Look at the detail on this. This looks phenomenal. Man, to get the shadow black dragon and the blue dragon, I mean, I don't know what else. We know there's a red and a silver. If we could get all of them, that's wild. Want to know something else that's pretty interesting? This is all 2014 dragon designs, right? So technically, in a month from now, in February, the 2024/5 Monster Manual release. And then at that point, this dragon is no longer, it's outdated, right? Because we know that they are releasing all new dragon designs come 2025 slash 2024. So technically, this is an outdated look for a blue dragon. It looks a little bit different now, but you know what? I mean, it is, you're right, Chad. It is a sick looking dragon regardless. I actually really like I don't think I've ever noticed that a blue dragon has like such a fat tail. Melissa would be happy. But yeah, I really am digging this design overall. I think it looks great. I like that you can see the individual spikes, and I don't know if I've ever noticed this before, but it's like crest spines that run down the spine kind of are evoking like Godzilla vibes for me, right? Like it kind of the Godzilla's plates that kind of run down Godzilla's spines. And then it being something that shoots a blue kind of lightning breath weapon. I'm assuming that was always by design, but I never truly noticed it until looking at it in this particular instance. But yeah. Happy New Year, Greg. Happy New Year to everybody, especially new people have popped here into the chat. Let's continue. We've got that was our third box, the big pull. Let's see what the little pulls are for this one. We have Ace a Swerf Neblin fighter, right? So this is a deep gnome. This one could have used a little work. My dude just looks kind of like a gnome pirate with his kind of like, think that's supposed to be like a bandana headband there. Again, fine if it's an NPC. If I'm playing like a Swerf Neblin, I don't want this mini. I need something with like some real, like, I want my mini to be, I don't know, something with a little flair to it. This guy, respect that my dude eats well as a Swerf Neblin down in the Underdark. He's got a little pot belly going on. But I could have used maybe like some armor or like, yeah, this guy is definitely an NPC for sure. He's a little too mundane. All right, what else we got here? We have a human Zentarum bandit. Now this guy could be more PC style. You can see he's got his armor comes up to cover his mouth, and then he's got the scarf on below that. And actually, I gotta say that this new camera, like using the iPhone for the camera, the colors are actually coming through a lot truer to what they actually look like in real life. So like that red is pretty much that color red. And yeah, you're right. He's got a little bit of a different style blade with kind of the spikes down there towards the cross guard. Actually, he doesn't have a cross guard at all. So I guess that's kind of function like that. But I will also point out for those of you who don't know, you can see again a little bit on the face there. Um, Whiz Kids, I thought when I first got these that they were all like injection, like painted essentially. They are all hand painted. Each Whiz Kids miniature. That's why like I might get one that might look slightly different than yours. They actually have a team of people that hand paint all the miniatures for them. We have a Needle Blight. This is just trash, if I'm being honest. Like this is a trash tier mini. Um, it's fine. You got to have blights in your game. You got to have miniatures to represent them. But this ain't it. I could have just, yeah, no thank you. All right, that was box number 3. Let's go ahead and dive into box number 4. Can we keep the dragon train rolling? We've got 2 dragons so far. What do we got in box number 3? Okay, not a dragon, but we do have a Pegasus. With quite the emo hair flip going on on our Pegasus. This Pegasus, it was never a phase. It might be, I feel like we can see that this is very clearly a celestial white Pegasus here, but we know that he's got that emo black heart deep down. Oh, thank you everybody for all the kind wishes, the Happy New Year's. We really appreciate it. I do like it though. I do like this. This is a more Pegagoth. Yeah, I do like the pose. This is a more kind of dynamic pose for a Pegasus. Usually they just kind of have them very much, traditional, just like literally like, well, I guess I'll call like a horse pose. Like it's just standing there on all 4 legs and then it just happens to have wings. This one, at least, it feels like a little bit more in action, if you will. Listen, if I'm gonna have a Pegasus as like a mount or something, this is the one I want. Like, this guy is gonna have, he's gonna have a little bit of sass, a little bit of attitude, but also he's gonna be. You couldn't ask for a truer steed. All right, on to the small miniatures. Oh boy. We have a Quickling. So again, this sort of fey creature that zips around real fast. That is a color choice with the mustard yellow, purple, and the blue skin with the white hair. I don't know if you can actually, can you see the face? I don't know if you'll be able to make it out because there's just like a couple of white dots. See if we can get it to show up. Just like the face is something else. All right. That was the Quickling. What do we got here? Okay, now this is a PC miniature. This is a wood elf druid. Now this is what we're talking about. This is a miniature that a PC might actually want to have. Where you've got look at how you've got the armor, look at the definition in the aspects of the armor itself. You've got a nice kind of foresty theme. You've got the staff with the swirling green translucent magic energy. Also, that staff, pretty solid looking. If I'm playing a wood elf druid and I don't have a custom miniature, he's got a little bit of a lean on him, but I'm kind of digging that. He's really leaning into the magic. Oh, look at the staff too. The swirling, like the spindle of the staff handle. This is solid. I love this. Also D&D Addiction. I hope to catch you at a future convention too. I haven't figured out my convention schedule for 2025 just yet. You'll see me at Gen Con. You'll see me at PAX Unplugged. Whatever else in the middle there, still working on figuring stuff out. All right. This is what we're talking about. We want more like this. All right, and our last miniature from box number 4 is Oop, geez, sorry, I'm knocking the camera like crazy. The big boss, I guess spoilers maybe, of Horde of the Dragon Queen, Resir, the half black dragon, one of the leaders of the Cult of the Dragon. She is a menace. That's Hazaron, her great sword. Again, a little bit of hot water, heat gun. You can reshape that sword to make it straight, but it is a brutal sword. Not often do you find an enemy that swings a 4d6 greatsword. But 2d6 plus an additional 2d6 necrotic damage. I can't remember if they updated it in errata, but it used to be a sort of wounding too, so it would also like leave wounds that when you couldn't heal if you were hit by it. Absolutely brutal. A well-deserved big bad evil guy for the end of the first part of Tyranny of Dragons. Also, I really like the sort of scorpion style tail she's got going on there. Something a little bit unique to her as a black half dragon. Very cool though. Also, this was back when, like, remember 2014 Dragonborn were very much still in the 4E, like aberratorial style, like Dragonborn, where they all had kind of like a muddled brown color and dreadlocks. And only half dragons kind of had the more draconic look to them, but that's obviously shifted with 2024. All right, box number 5. Let's see what we got here. Let's go. I can't say that Whiz Kids gave me like a god tier box, but I think we can maybe start to feel like that when we pull the young green dragon as well. Let's go. This is the best box of miniatures I think I've ever opened. Sorry if I keep knocking the camera. But we got the young green dragon in this one. Let's just kind of readjust our camera here a little bit. Sorry, I'm balancing my tripod on, like, it's not the smoothest spot. But yeah, look at this, dude. We've gotten 3 dragons in 5 pulls. Yeah, I'm really digging these kind of yellow gold accents. The sort of like, I don't know, big bushy eyebrow looking ridges, which I don't think I've ever seen before on a green dragon. The frill looks fantastic. Usually they don't have such accentuated features on a dragon of a young age. Usually you don't start to see these like epic defining features till they become much older, like age-wise. I love this. It's almost sad to see this design go with the 2024 remake, because you know what, I guess maybe that was sort of the direction, right? If you think about it from like a Whiz Kids perspective, Whiz Kids are like, listen, guys, we know we're going to have to redesign all these miniatures come 2025 anyway. They're redesigning all the dragons. Just go ham on the paint job on these, because honestly, they're going to kind of be out of date by the time we get this set out, because the monster manual will be out. Like, again, depending on when this box set releases in Q1, the 2025 monster manual may be out. Therefore, this design technically is, you know, like a deprecated old design. But they were like, yeah, I'm guessing they were just like, do like, make them worth it, you know? And I'm loving the yellow and the gold. It almost gives me like, oh, like even the yellow on the nose kind of almost giving like, it almost is more like Gold Dragon, like Fu Manchu style. Like I'm thinking like, I don't know, wants me to say, like, I can't remember his name from Kill Bill, but like that traditional kind of like a kung fu master with like the big swoopy, like fluffy eyebrows. That's kind of the vibes that this has given me. What an absolute pull for this one. That's awesome. All right, that's 3 dragons in 5 boxes. How much better can it get? I guess we'll find out. All right, on to the 3 small pulls for this particular box. We got another hobgoblin. So nothing too crazy here. I'm going to drop the camera down, so just watch out. We'll just kind of, it'll shake a little bit. So we already got a hobgoblin, so you can kind of just, we can kind of put them side by side so you can get an idea. See how the one sword's kind of really bent? The other one's not, but you can see how relatively consistent the paint jobs are, but there may be small variations between the two. All right, again, if you're going to have duplicates of like lower tier creatures, that's not a bad thing. All right, we've got a, this says orc fighter. My dude is giant as an orc fighter. As a reference, maybe not. Maybe he's not that much bigger, because here's our elf, just to give you a little bit of scaling. So maybe it's not. He just looked way bigger than I'm used to seeing. But I guess for an orc fighter, again, very much NPC vibes, this guy. Nothing too crazy. Honestly, I thought for a second, based on his vibes, that I thought he was going to be like an orc chef. And that was actually going to be like a meat cleaver in his hand, because it kind of looks like he's got an apron on. But, all right. Again, not bad. And then our last miniature in this set, we have a Wraith. Again, we've got our sort of clear. This is definitely not like a crazy accented miniature, right? It's very generic. But it does kind of get like a sort of almost auto pass from me, because I love the translucent effect miniatures. So, all right. On to box number 6. Here we go. What do we got? Box number 6. I think you guys are right. I think they must have been like, hey, Ted's going to do an unboxing on this. Maybe we can really just go for broke. Come on. This has to be a plant box from the folks at Whiz Kids. Like, you can't make this up. So this is, what is this, our bronze dragon? Come on, guys. What is happening? Either I have the best luck, or they did really truly do like a give the content creator the best box. But like, again, look at the detail, all of the little green kind of oxidizing edges on this bronze dragon. Just so cool. And like, even like the tail, I don't think I ever noticed that before, like the tail fin there. We got the, look at the green at where the joints meet the body. Just so cool, man. What an epic series of pulls this has been. We also got the, the main villain of Horde of the Dragon Queen, the first part of the adventure. We're on a roll here. All right, wouldn't be a dragon-based campaign without a kobold. Yes, patina. The patina is fantastic on that bronze dragon. So we have just a standard kind of red-colored kobold fighter. Nothing too nuts there, but still cool nonetheless. All right. Well, we have a blue guard drake. Again, another great thing to have in a Tyranny of Dragons campaign. Replicating, sort of emulating the blue dragon that we saw earlier. Here, the big chunky tail there. And lastly, we have a, this is another kind of take it or leave it, a doppelganger. Nothing to really write home about on the doppelganger. I feel like in the monster manual, they were much more like blue-esque. This one is very kind of gray, but there's detail and musculature there, which is kind of a nice degree of detail, but overall the miniature's kind of bland. All right. Well, D&D Addiction, you may be right that most of the large miniatures are dragons, but I'm going to choose to pretend that I'm just lucky. But you're probably right. All right, box 7. Not a dragon, but still a dragon. We have the wyvern. And this is the much more traditional his tail, his foot's kind of popping up off the back here. But we have the more 2014 5e kind of cobra headed style wyvern, which is very different from the dragon or sort of T-Rex style wyvern that we have in the 2024 player's handbook, and also kind of different from the look of the 2025 monster manual wyvern, he said, cheekily explaining that he may or may not have that. All right. Let's move on to the small ones in this set. We have a mains. This is sort of like the demon or the devil sort of little guy here. Again, a little bit more detail than say the doppelganger. Not crazy in love with that one. All right. We have a red wizard. This is a nice little red wizard miniature. We got all the red wizard detail. We've got, you can see there's tattoos on the forehead. We've got some fire magic coming out of the hands. And obviously the red and gold has a lot of nice little detail there. So I'm digging on that. Very cool. And our last miniature from box 7 is a dragon claw. So this is one of the sort of cultists, cult of the dragon creature, or like main kind of members there. So nothing too crazy. All right, and on to the final box of Return of the Dragons. Box number 8. What will we get in box number 8? Oh, this one doesn't have the plastic. Oh, I guess because it doesn't fit in the plastic. We have the young copper dragon as our final pull. Once again, we can see the patina on the wings here for the copper dragon. Now, this one I will say is coming in a little bit more gold. This is a little more copper colored in real life. The other ones have been much more true to color. This one is definitely much more copper looking. This is coming through very kind of gold looking on the camera, but it is much more copper in its color pattern. Well, folks, we're going to keep going through the rest of these minis, but what I will tell you, based on what we've seen and pulled so far, were you looking to invest in a set of miniatures from Whiz Kids, pre-painted miniatures? I think Return of the Dragons is a solid bet to pay for, because the likelihood of you getting dragons are very high. They're all epically designed, and out of all the miniatures you could get, you stand like a pretty much like a almost like a 50-50 shot, really, of scoring yourself a dragon. So here we have a bugbear. Again, we can kind of see he's got a little bit more of detail on the armor here with his kind of big spiked bugbear club. All right. In next, we have, what is this? A Sun Elf Guard, giving very Last War of Men and Elves kind of vibe here, like he belonged on that battlefield fighting against Sauron. A little more colorful than your traditional Tolkien elf, in that particular battle scene, but either way, definitely could work more as a PC miniature as opposed to some of those other ones that were very NPC coded. And again, halfling bard, she's She's here. She's got her violin. Still kind of giving me NPC vibes. You know, like she's going to be at the tavern, maybe playing the music when the party walks in to try to get a room for the night. But there you go, folks. That was unboxing of a brick of the 2025 Return of the Dragons miniature sets from Whiz Kids. This will be launching again in quarter 1 2025. I think we gotta get our glory shot here for the YouTube thumbnail, right? Push that back. Lift this up. Now, I mean, how about that, huh? Like, look at all those dragons. I don't know if there's a specific chase for this brick. We can look and see. But my gut would say, yeah, I think the blue one should be in the back. You're probably right. Because it's taller. There we go. That is, I mean, and we know there's at least red and silver, because red and silver were on the box. I imagine, well, we can, you know what, why don't we go ahead and look up what is actually in this set. Let's go ahead, let's take a look and see what we can find for this. Return of Dragons miniatures. Let's see. Icons of the Realms, Return of the Dragons. Updates to all 44 miniatures from the original Tyranny of Dragons set. So it does not appear to have, as far as I can tell, any additional chase miniatures beyond, you know, that original set. So, like I said, we're looking at $200 is the price for a brick of 8 miniatures. As you saw, you can pull, those ones that I just showed off were the new models for the updated Return of the Dragons miniatures. These are not the updated 2025 designs for those. Like, right now you can get, or you can pre-order, I believe, the adult Black Dragon. It's called the Black Dragon Corruptor, which is the 2024 Black Dragon design. There is also, I think, the 2024 Red Dragon design are available from Whiz Kids. But this set is just updates with new models for all of the original Tyranny of Dragons set. Is there another secret level episode? Is there 2 secret level episodes? Or is it just the one? I only went and watched the one. Well, anyway, let me end this video here. So, anyway, like I said, I'll have links in the video description if you want to go pick up a brick of this for yourself. Like I said, if you're looking to get into D&D miniatures and you want to get some of the best bang for your buck and also some of the coolest miniatures, you're definitely going to want to get the Tyranny of Dragons, or what is it called? Return of the Dragons set. It's definitely Icons of the Realm, Return of the Dragons. It's some of the best miniatures. You're going to have a lot of iconic creatures, all the dragons, definitely worth picking up. And again, like a booster brick is $200 for 8 boxes. It's quarter 1 of 2025. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. All right, there we go. That video is done, so I can easily cut that for YouTube. Now let me see what you're saying. You sent me a link on Discord. Hang on. There's another secret lair. Hang on. What is this? Oh, you sent me the miniature gallery. Perfect. All right, let's take a look here real quick. Um. Oh, okay. So we really didn't miss out much. Red, gold, and silver. Those are the only ones we missed. So we had basically everything else in that set. Um, yeah, red, gold, and silver were the only dragons we didn't get. And there were some other cool iconic ones like a Mind Flayer, stuff like that. So I think we did exceptionally well on the pulls we got from that. So definitely, definitely worth your time if you're gonna invest in miniatures for 5e. I would highly recommend that set as the one to kind of get started in if you haven't gotten started already. Definitely worth checking out. So now, what is this about? Is there another secret lair or secret level movie or episode? Because I watched the first one, which was the first episode. Is there? And I thought it was done. I thought I had seen all the episodes. I want to make sure there's not another one because, if anybody can confirm or deny more secret level episodes beyond just the first one. I'm pretty sure it was just the one episode. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Yes, I did watch the one episode that came out. Now I feel good. I just want to make sure I didn't miss one because if there was a second episode, I was going to be real upset. But yes, Secret Level is a fantastic couple of episodes. It really, in my opinion, started to trail off towards the end. The Mega Man one was such a tease. Oh my god. Oh yeah. The D&D one is one of the best. I love that. I did a video, actually. I did a review of the secret level episode. So it's up here on the YouTube channel. Um oh. Do you guys wanna see what I'm gonna spend like 10 grand on in 2025? Also, we'll start we'll start the we'll start the donation goal now if I can't pull some sort of swing. Let me see. How are we gonna do this with the vertical format? Let's go to, what is it, on Instagram? I think is where I saw it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, probably like 10 grand if I'm being realistic. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Studio mode. Make sure we're grabbing the right thing. Here we go. We're gonna move this up top here. This is gonna go here. Give me one sec because I gotta add a scene for our folks watching vertically on TikTok and stuff. So give me one sec. So we're gonna go ahead and add scenes for this. Add a source. Video capture. Yeah, I was not expecting this. This was not on my 2024, 2025 bingo card. But here we go. Let's see. Can we not display capture? Yeah, okay. Oops. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry, folks. Hang on one sec. This is taking a little bit longer than I thought. Okay, we'll do a window capture instead. Window capture. Add source. There we go. Why are these two locked together? I don't know. There we go. All right. So, the big expenditure for Ted in 2025 in 2025 is going to be where is it? No, damn it. Mm-hmm. You guys see this? Here it comes right here. In case you're unfamiliar, and Stern Pinball wasn't enough of a giveaway for you, the good people over at Stern Pinball are making a 2025 Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine. Now, previously, there was only one Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine from like 1977. So I don't know if we can we pause it? If we can pause it, you can see the head of looks like it says the Tyrant's Eye, so this could be a Tiamat themed pinball machine. Let me see if we can pause it on the actual moving articulated dragon head. This might be part of the kind of DMD screen. Right here. See the lights? So this may be sort of like a shoot, you're kind of shooting to get into the red dragon's mouth. This also looks to be a 2024 red dragon. You can see it's moving around, the mouth lights up and things. Stern, for those of you who don't know pinball machines, Stern has been in the game for a long time, and Stern has been absolutely knocking it out of the park with their new pinball machines that they've been releasing. And, oh, dude, if I could just pull up, can we find, like, is this the X-Men one? Yeah, take a look at this. This is the Uncanny X-Men one that they did recently. Just take a look at this. Like, you've got all sorts of awesome stuff. You've got, like, this Sentinel head's going to pop up as, like, something to shoot at, which is awesome. You got the Sentinel arm. You've got the Magneto Master of Magnetism that pulls the ball in the middle. The stuff that they've been doing with these pinball machines recently is just absolutely phenomenal. And, like, there's a base level model. All Stern pinball machines come in, like, 3 tiers, if you will. There's, like, the base, then there's, like, the premium, and then, like, the ultimate. I don't forget the names off the top of my head, but they all come in 3 tiers. So, obviously, if I'm going to pay for me, of all people, going to pay for a D&D pinball machine, I'm going to have to buy the super crazy ultimate pinball edition, which is going to be like 10 grand. So, Franco, have I ever used Tiamat? I ran Tyranny of Dragons. So I had her start to appear to face the party at the end. Like, one of the heads made its way through a portal. And I'm playing in a Tyranny of Dragons game currently, and I played in one a long time ago. I'm trying to see if we can see any of the ones where they show off the 3 versions. Is this going to show it? No, it's not. I was just trying to see if I could find one of the ones that shows, like, what I'm talking about with the 3 different versions of the machine. Because then you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. Nope. Figures, like, these can't stop popping up on my feed any other time. Is this it? Game now, that's the premiere. Is this it? Nope. Concept art. Damn it. Where the hell is it? Is this it? Nope. Wait, maybe. Okay, so here's like the pin. Here's the. I guess we could turn the sound on too. I guess I don't have the sound capture
Game.
on.
I want to tell you an X-Men story. When I was in the 5th grade,
like the
I used to hide my X-Men comics in my geography book. One day I got caught while reading the issue where the Juggernaut fought the X-Men. Fast forward to the 80s and I was working at Midway Games and still reading the X-Men. The story that sticks in my mind is one of the greatest X-Men stories ever told. It's called The Days of Future Past. And that is the comic book that the new game is based on. Our heroes are trapped in a dismal future, and to reverse their fate, they must travel through time to change the past. I'm very happy to present The Uncanny X-Men, brought to you by Jack Danger, Wei-Zhen Cheng, Kevin Koloje, a musical score by Charlie Benante, audio production by Jerry Thompson, and of course, Chuck Ernst Group has created all original animations and video content.
You saw that Sentinel head that pops up? That's not available on the base tier model. Like, that's a higher tier only thing.
Content for the game. The art is by Zombie Yeti, and it is truly a love letter to the epic Marvel illustrations that created the iconic X-Men franchise. The first thing you'll notice is a truly unique playfield layout. Jack has created a completely fresh array of shots with surprising ball trajectories and results. Add to that a mechanically articulated Sentinel that reacts physically to game events. The bottom of the playfield is also truly unique, themed around the famous X-Men training facility, the Danger Room. You too will have to train to survive it. Of course, the game features a huge cast of X-Men: Wolverine, Magneto, Professor X, Storm, Colossus, Beast, Rogue, Gambit, Mystique, and all of your favorites.
Oh, 100%.
Stern Technology provides new ways to play with Insider.
Also, like, you can sync these up to your phone.
Connected. And now Jack will take you through the game.
Okay.
Have fun.
We might actually get to
play
see the actual
The Uncanny X-Men.
Hi, I'm Jack Danger, designer of Stern's all-new The Uncanny X-Men. Growing up, I've always loved comics, and X-Men was the comic to have as a kid. And now that this is a pinball machine title I get to work on, I couldn't have been more excited to get started on this.
So see this right here? See this art on the inside? They call this blade art. You guys don't have the audio? Looks like it is there. If you see this art on the inside here, like that's called like blade art. That's usually not
Jump into my craziest layout yet with the features of the LE and Premium Edition.
Okay, here we go. So this is the limited edition.
Let's start with the main big bad from the X-Men universe, the Sentinel. It's motorized, its chin breaks away, it even fights back with a kicking target in its mouth. The Sentinel's hands are also featured on the playfield, destroying wire forms and knocking the ball off of its path of trajectory. Next we have Beast's Lab. This is an elevated, captive ball Vari-Target. In the back, you will also see a custom sculpted Wolverine action figure having been thrown by Colossus in what is known as the Fast Ball Special.
Sure.
Also included in the LE is an interactive speaker expression lighting system with X-Men themed effects, which will also be available as an accessory. So let's talk about the layout of this game. I wanted a flow unlike...
So again, the base model won't have the light up speakers. They said that'll be available as an accessory, which means if you want to buy the low end model and then add that, you can. Pinballs, especially recently, pin machines are very customizable. They always have been, but even more so now. People have gotten into all sorts of different aspects to add and adjust different things. But the reason that I'm showcasing this Uncanny X-Men one so much here is this is one of the newer ones that they've released. And I wanted to showcase this to show you the level of intricacy and cool shit they can do with the pinball machine, which is why I'm so excited to see what they're going to do with the D&D machine, because you're going to have like this level of intricacy with the D&D machine.
Like anything that I've seen before. I wanted cross shots, I wanted ramps that were backwards, I wanted targets you couldn't hit on purpose. Essentially, I wanted to make something that was weird, fun, and engaging, and what's an X-Men game without a Danger Room? Located to the left of the main flipper, this is a high-risk, high-reward area featuring a mini flipper, a ramp, an outlane spinner, and a whole lot of danger. Hit the X-Jet crossover shot to the X-Mansion ramp to make your way to the Danger Room. Cerebral ball lock mechanism holds the ball to transition to the future. The Midtown shot is a playfield elevated wire ramp that wraps around the back of the Sentinel's head. Shoot the ball to Magneto's magnet, which is capable of catching and throwing the ball with special ball effects. Shoot the right subway shot to feed the back panel ramp. Shoot for the double turnaround downtown ramp to watch a ball do something you haven't seen before.
Now, not every game is going to have this level of, like, all of these ramps and stuff. They're all different.
The highway ramp on the right features a diverter that can feed the ball to the left or right flipper.
Phenomenal. So, like, this is the X-Men machine, right?
Stainless steel uptown left ramp with chrome wire for.
So they did a Godzilla machine that had a whole building that breaks and like cracks and falls down into the playfield as Godzilla and like the other monsters are damaging it. They did the Mandalorian one where like they had like the actual the Razor Crest like lifts up and stuff, and there's a Grogu who catch the ball. So the problem that I had, like, I was gonna get another. So I have one pinball machine. I have a 1992 Data East Jurassic Park pinball machine on the other side of this wall, which I've done heavy modifications to. And I don't have a lot of space, but I knew I had space enough for one more pinball machine. So I was going to get another pinball machine. And I was looking at, like, what's something that, like, means a lot to me, right? So, or that, like, also, here's the other thing. It's got to be fun to play, right? That's the other. So you're going to get a pinball machine. You got to have a fun to play pinball machine. So I usually take my time, especially when I'm at Gen Con, because there's so many like pinball arcade bars out in Indy, to like play as many of these games as I can to get an idea for what I like. So I played the Mandalorian pinball machine. It was great. But I don't want to be in a Game of Thrones scenario where I buy a Mandalorian pinball machine and then Mandalorian just shits the bed like Game of Thrones did. And then I'm like, well, now I have a pinball machine of this shitty show that I hate. So I was like, Godzilla's a solid bet. I could go for Godzilla. I could do Ghostbusters, classic Ghostbusters, because they did one not that long ago that was pretty good. The Deadpool one was a lot of fun. This Uncanny X-Men one looks fantastic, right? And part of me wanted to own the 1977 Dungeons and Dragons one just as like a piece of history. I'll show you it. It's not, it was before they even had video screens in the back of the machine. It was like, it still uses like Nixie tube lights to tell you your high score, because it was prior to screens kind of being invented for these things. So, was it a Bally? I think it was. Yeah, here it is. Let me pull it up for you. Here. So, this, let me just readjust this one over here, is what the Dungeons and Dragons, the original Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine looked like, right? It's blue. You can see it's got like the first replay and all this stuff. Like that's what you have to keep track of your score. And it has like, so again, we're talking all old school. This is like kind of your main function is you have this sort of like dragon breath fire bit that goes up the middle there. You do have like, again, a couple of different targets and things. And it's cool. It's got, a couple bumpers and things up at the top. But, and it was like, I kind of wanted to get it. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on this machine, right? This is not a the thing is, there was not a lot of these made. I think there was like 3,000 of these pinball machines made, something like that. I could be wrong on the final number. But the thing is, even with it being so limited in its production, nobody is knocking down doors to get this pinball machine. So, like, I wouldn't spend more than $2,500 on that pinball machine, just because it's just not in high demand and nobody really cares about it. Like, for me, it would be a piece of history to own it. It would also be an absolute nightmare to fix anything that's wrong with it because it's all old mechanical stuff. Not to say that the new computerized stuff is great. But here's some better images. We'll look at these. This is somebody did a better job taking pictures of it, right? So you can see the play field a little bit better. Right, here it is. This is a good shot to show what it looks like. So it's cool. It's got these knockdown targets up here and stuff. But this is also D&D. I think I said it's from like 77. So this is before I was born. This is obviously before I played D&D. So, like, I don't have a huge connection with this version of D&D. I have a connection with D&D in general, but you get my point. So when I woke up and saw that Stern said that they were going to make a D&D one, and now it all makes sense because last year I went to New York Toy Fair. So Toy Fair is like a big event in New York City at the Javits Center where they have like all toy companies come out to just showcase all of like what their toy products are going to be. We're talking Mattel, Hasbro, everybody, right? Showing all their toy products and what they're going to release in the next year, all this kind of stuff. And in years past, D&D used to attend this formally, and like Whiz Kids did this year, but D&D would attend like in a formal capacity. And like, I'd see like Greg Tito was there and people would go and they would meet him and all this stuff and like talk about D&D and, or they'd just be in the city and then they'd go see him. I wanted to go, and they have very specific metrics that like you have to have such a follower base or such a whatever to be able to even get a chance to go. So the first year that I would have had the capability to attend Toy Fair was 2020. And then the pandemic happened, so I couldn't go because they shut it down. Last year was the first time that I had the qualifications to attend a Toy Fair, and I did. And the Stern people were there, and we were talking about pinball. I was playing pinball, telling them how much I, love pinball. And they're like, what kind of stuff, you're in a little bit of a different kind of avenue than like our traditional pinball players, content creation, YouTube, and video games and stuff. What would you want to see a pinball machine of? And I said, honestly, Dungeons and Dragons. I know there's that old Bally machine from 77, but it's the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons. It feels like now would be the prime time to release a new Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine. And it didn't even connect till this morning when the guy was just like, interesting you say that. And I didn't put anything together until this morning, realizing that, well, they're making one. And that was his kind of like hint to me that was happening. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm a huge fan and I'm excited. We might be doing some more streams, and 100% when I secure a copy of that pinball machine, we will definitely do like a retro gamey pinball machine stream in the other room with the pinball machine all set up, because I have been wanting another pinball machine for a while, and the fact that they're making a new D&D one is just a no-brainer for me. Sorry, there were some questions about Tyranny of Dragons. I've bought the updated Tyranny of Dragons book. How are you enjoying it so far? Playing in it, I'm having a lot of fun, so I'm playing in it over on Captain Robert's channel on Monday nights. We also might start like co-streaming that here on my channel here as well. Especially now that we've managed to secure how multi-stream works. So we might start doing that. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun because like I said, the first campaign I played in 5e, which was the first campaign, it was only the second ever D&D campaign I ever played in. Because I played in my first ever campaign, then I ran a campaign for a long time in a couple of different RPGs, D&D being one of them. And I hadn't played since 2004, so the first time I actually got a chance to play D&D again was in 2014 with Tyranny of Dragons. So I have a little bit of nostalgia for Tyranny of Dragons because of the fact that it was like the first game that I played in such a long time. But, for what it's worth, my friend who was running it had never run a game of any kind before. So, the fact that he had like a pre-written module to run was like a nice thing for him. And he had a lot of fun, but like there was definitely some woes of the first time DM there for sure. So it was a good time. I obviously have nostalgia for it, and then I ran it here on the channel. So on YouTube, I think the entirety of Horde of the Dragon Queen is on the main channel, and most of Rise of Tiamat is on the main channel, but the finishing out of it is on the gameplay channel, and just being transferring stuff over. And I had a lot of fun running it. I fixed a lot of the issues with it, and I'm really enjoying what Robert's doing with the game so far, because it's very, very different already from what we've been experiencing or what the gameplay, the actual written story. Um, so it's a lot of fun. And I basically turn any kind of knowledge of what's going on with the game off, and I'm just living in my character in the moment. So he doesn't know what's going to happen. I obviously have some degree of knowledge, but there's a lot that Robert changes with his games in general. So I can't imagine that I'll have any concept of where things are going. And I don't want to, right? I just want to have a good time and play a character. I'm playing Champion Fighter, which is something I'd never been interested in playing before 2024 because I like the updates to it a lot. And I'm also doing this as an example to see, like, if you look at the fighters, right? Battlemaster Fighter, all the other fighters have a bunch of things they can do. Battlemaster, Eldritch Knight, Psy Warrior. They all have like other things they can do other than just like swinging their sword, essentially. And I'm very curious to see, in a world at a table with other people playing 2024 characters, how does it feel to play the lowest, tech fighter available, right? Playing the 2024 champion fighter, right? Like, I don't have superiority dice. I don't have all this stuff to throw around to see and do other unique abilities. I crit on a 19, and that's my whole thing. As I just swing my sword, and maybe I hit a little bit better than some people. Now, I'm playing something a little bit more, I'm doing the whole polearm master, great weapon master, that whole kind of tree of feats and stuff. And, I basically have almost that entire build online. We are using the 2024 rules in that. Do you think you could merge Tyranny of Dragons with Shadow of the Dragon Queen? I don't see why not. I mean, right, especially since they made it very clear that Takesis is Tiamat. I don't see why you couldn't merge the two together in some form. I mean, we were just talking a lot about like Days of Future Past because we were watching that X-Men stream. I don't see why you couldn't have like a fun cross planar adventure where like things are different, obviously, in Kryn than they are in the Forgotten Realms, and you could do some fun stuff that way. So we started with 2024 rules in Tyranny of Dragons. In Vecna Eve of Ruin and in my Phandelver and Below campaign, we transitioned when the 2024 stuff came out. We went from 2014 to 2024. So I've had experience on multiple avenues of doing this. And also in the podcast that I'm on, we're sticking staunchly to 2014. And it hurts my brain so much because as a sorcerer, I have so much stuff I don't have access to. And some of my spells don't work the way they should work. So it's pretty interesting, to say the least. But I'm enjoying... We've only done 3 sessions with me as the champion fighter. And for comparison, in our Vecna Eve of Ruin campaign, I'm playing a wizard. So I'm playing like a wizard and a homebrew subclass wizard who's in the process of constantly making a ton of new spells and playing around with our different kinds of magic and arcana, and then a champion fighter. So I'm going basically as far on the opposite ends of the spectrum as you can go in this. And it's been very interesting to see the difference. But yes, I am basically a geomancy wizard in Vecna, which is a homebrew subclass, versus a champion fighter in Tyranny of Dragons. So I'm on the complete opposite end of that spectrum of complexity. And it's just like I said, I want to see. So for reference, right at our table at Tyranny of Dragons, we have a Archfey Warlock, everybody playing 2024, Archfey Warlock, a Life Domain Cleric, a Path of the World Tree Barbarian, and we have a Blade Singer Wizard. So we're using 2024 Wizard with the Blade Singer, basically with no updates as it stands right now. If I were to update the 2024 Blade Singer, I would change the level 10 feature. That feels pretty weak. And I probably would have the Blade Singer have the same kind of functionality that like Battlesmith and Hexblade have, where you could use your intelligence modifier instead of your dexterity modifier for attack and damage rolls with your weapon. That was kind of an unknown, unheard of thing when the original Blade Singer came out, and now that they've kind of changed that, that's more readily available. I would probably give you that option. Granted, Blade Singers are probably going to focus dex as well, but I would give you that option if you wanted it. And that level 10 feature where you burn a spell slot to reduce damage kind of sucks. So I would probably revamp that. But I think other than that, the Blade Singer can kind of stand on its own 2 feet, just ported with the 2024 Wizard. Because basically, as I've said multiple times, 2024 Wizard isn't that different from 2014 Wizard. We do not have a Paladin in our Tyranny of Dragons game. We have, yeah, so it's, God, I could tell you, it's a fighter, me, barbarian, warlock, yeah, that's it, Blade Singer, life domain cleric. So, and then we currently have like a temporary paladin in the Vecna game. Yeah, don't blame the bunny. I understand. So I have 3 games, 2 I'm playing in, 1 I'm running in 2024. And it's basically like a monthly podcast. We go up, we record for a day, and that's it. But we started that in 2014, and I think for ease of the viewers or the listeners, as well as like definitely some of the other people at the table, it makes more sense to keep it all 2014. But like, man, it sure would be great if this spell worked this way now. Like, I'd love Lesser Restoration to be bonus action in that campaign. I'd love Cure Wounds to heal for 2d8 as opposed to 1. But yeah, it's rough. No, you're all good. You're all good. So yeah, I want to see, will I feel just severely weaker as a champion fighter at the table? Now, I know they said, like, obviously that's not a bad starting point for somebody who's new to D&D, but for what it's worth, I don't buy that, if I'm being honest with you. So, like, people are like, oh, if people are new to D&D, you should really start them off with something like the champion fighter, because it's really hard to understand blah, 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 new stuff. Now, maybe, I mean, they're my kids, so they're cut from a slightly different cloth, I assume, compared to the general public. But I'm playing a game. We've been playing every week, and I will make some, like, story time videos on this. A game with my family, right? My 2 boys, my wife, and then actually my good buddy from back home and his wife. I'm running a D&D campaign for all of them every week. And my 7-year-old is playing an Archfey Warlock, and my 5-year-old is playing a Draconic Sorcerer. And they have no problem managing their spell slots. So I don't know if Champion Fighter being the choice for, like, if you're new, you gotta just swing a sword. Again, my kids, probably, they've grown up around this stuff, so it's probably not a great comparison. But they have no problem managing all that, you know? And, like, my oldest understands the difference of when to hex beforehand, that he gets his spell slots back on a short rest, when to swing with a packed weapon, when to throw an Eldritch Blast, when to send a Find Familiar in, all this kind of stuff. So, you know, and my youngest, as a Draconic Sorcerer, recognizes, hey, you know, maybe this is a Sorceress Burst and we switch to acid damage because they're immune to fire damage, or they take less fire damage, or, you know, maybe because we're already locked in melee, this is the time to use Flame Blade. I don't know. But they don't have an issue with it. And also, for what it's worth, to point out another fact that not people that haven't grown up around it, my buddy and his wife have never played D&D before either, and he's playing a Berserker Barbarian and she's playing a Moon Druid. So, you know, everybody kind of jumped in, you know, head first, feet first, whatever the saying is, at this to really dive into the minutia of the mechanics, and we haven't really stumbled over any combats. Things have been pretty smooth in the grand scheme of things. So I can't really blame, that. So I think that it really it's less about like new players need less stuff. It just comes on, how people are going to be, like it's based on the person, not on the character, I guess. Um yeah, I mean, I guess if you're trying to go you want to play right now and you need a character, champion fighter is easy because you don't have to like pick spell slots and stuff. You just roll and go. I don't know. I I guess it really does come down to it's different for everybody. So we'll just have to play it by ear based on who you play with, I guess. So, um, I don't know. But anyway, that's a little bit about that. Um, so yeah. I don't know. I was gonna do another unboxing, but we ended up going on a tangent about about pinball. Um, he's pretty awesome. Um, his character is an odd choice, but he's pretty awesome. So I do have this Vecna Eve of Ruin miniature box. I have the Ruins of Symbaroum box, which you can see kind of holding up these other minis over here. And then I have this Hero Clicks Iconics beholder here. And I want I want to do these unboxings, but it's just going to take I like it's gonna eat up a bunch of time. And I did promise because the weather is actually pretty nice outside. It's like in the mid 40s, high 50s right now, that I would get some work done on the deck. Which, by the way, for those of you who've been curious about that, I've basically been in kind of a also Happy New Year again to everybody. I've been in a kind of holding pattern on the deck. So the old chimney for the kind of shitty, non really usable fireplace that we have, we were going to keep it originally. Otherwise, I would have demolished it before I started working on the deck. Water was leaking down from the top of the roof somewhere down into kind of the finished kind of like porch area that I'm building. And I didn't want to put up walls there and, put electricity and, insulation and everything in these walls if I was going to have water constantly running behind it because it's going to rot stuff out and it's going to ruin it, ruin the sheetrock and everything else down the line. So I climbed up on the roof and I had been working at it to try to like seal any spots where I thought the water might be coming in, all this kind of stuff. And I did what I thought was enough. And then we just had 2 months where it did not rain at all here. And I was just like, I can't test to see if my patch job worked because there hasn't been any rain. And then, long story short, the patch job didn't work. It was still coming in from somewhere else. So then I eventually just ended up hiring like a roofer, and I was like, get up there and either tear this chimney off the house or fix it, whatever you think's going to work the best. They spent 2 full days up there. They fixed everything. We had a huge downpour last night, which also made it pretty easy that there was no fireworks to freak the dogs out or anything because it downpoured last night. And not a single drop of water came in. So he did his job. He did it well. Thank you, Miguel, for all your work. Which means now nothing is stopping me from going full tilt on finishing off all the rest of the framing that needs to be done. Then get the inspection, come out, make sure the framing's all good to go. And then we're into electrical land, and then it's just finishing off this thing. So I'm in like the home stretch of finishing the deck. So I'm pretty excited to be able to actually do that. And the fact that it's not like ice cold outside means like now's a good time to be able to like get out there and do some work. So I promised my wife I wouldn't stream too long today. I was hoping that I would be able to get through both of these unboxings today, but you know what? Now I have content for maybe an unboxing tomorrow or maybe later tonight. Speaking of later tonight, there have been some messages in my Discord, which I'm going to take a look at to tell you whether or not we're going to be streaming Phandelver and Below later tonight or something else. Let's find out. Okay. So I don't have. So the answer is Jake lost a game of Kings at 2 o'clock in the morning and then did a grain alcohol shot. So we don't know if he's gonna be able to survive um playing D&D tonight. So what I will tell you, I will be live in some form this evening. Whether that's playing playing Phandelver and below with my crew as normal, or maybe I do actually have a game where I went into Baldur's Gate and I built out, we have a bunch of our characters built in Baldur's Gate from the Phandelver and below game. Obviously, I don't have a character, so I built Theodore the Orange in Baldur's Gate. Playing through Baldur's Gate 3 as those characters. I also managed to push that all the way into Act 2 so that we don't have to deal with all of the doldrums of Act 1 again. I also started a Tyranny of Dragons Baldur's Gate 3 game so that we can play the Tyranny of Dragons characters in Baldur's Gate 3. I also have heavily modified my Baldur's Gate 3 game to be 2024. So I've gone in and looked at all the mods and worked through all this stuff. So everybody's playing 2024 versions of all the characters now, which is also pretty cool. And I also installed crowd control. So that's an option too if I decide to stream Baldur's Gate in some capacity with the Wednesday night crew. If we do that, you guys can come in and just completely destroy the game. I also have turned on if we don't use crowd control, I've turned on a ton of random mods where like random treasure goblins will spawn or like portals spawn mid-combat that just dump out a bunch of enemies, a bunch of stuff. Or I'll just get with Robert and whoever else and we'll all play Marvel Rivals and I'll co-stream it on my end as well. We'll figure out what works. So we will be live later tonight. But yeah, it's lunchtime. I promised that I wouldn't spend all day streaming, but I honestly, Miniatures and Mimosas was a good time. So if it doesn't come back before the weekend, Saturday morning, I'm going to have some more Mimosas and open some more miniatures for sure. So I just want to shout out to everybody who's here. Yeah, we'll be live later tonight for sure. I will be live. I can commit to me being live tonight. I cannot commit to who will be with me or what we'll be doing. I will be live this evening in some form, one way or another tonight. Whether, like I said, that's playing D&D or playing video games or what have you. I also think I just want to do some more video game, like casual fun streaming. Oh, yes, the Lego build. That is another one that's on the list. I also will be doing that. I'm thinking maybe Friday night, especially with this new camera, using like an iPhone for the camera when it works so much better than using like my SLR. I think maybe Friday night we'll finish building the D&D Lego set. We'll put on some music. We'll get some music on stream, and I'll just do Q&A, and we'll finish the Lego set. It is super modded. I can let me see if I can pull that up. So yeah, we'll do the Lego set on Friday. We'll play some games today. Let me go ahead and pull up my Baldur's Gate 3 and I'll show you guys the list of mods that I have. Just in case you're curious, because I know people were asking. Or just Marvel Rivals. We'll see. There is some nuance to the modding scene, so you just got to be mindful of that. Yeah, I'll stay on top of the D&D pinball machine. Like, as the news comes out about it, I will definitely cover what goes on. I also will reach out to the folks at Stern. Maybe I can get lucky, get them to send me one for free. Doubt it. Highly doubt it. But you know what? If I can, why not, right? Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying about the Lego set being kind of like Beetle and Grimm. It's a nice to have. It's a cool thing. It's a lot, though. You know, I get it. I also am going to, at some point, buy the light set for the Lego set. So once we finish it, we can put lights in it and have it all light up and stuff, which is pretty cool. I also want to get back into my roots, and there's been so many expansions and updates to Guild Wars 2, and since that was like how I got started doing content creation, I'd love to go back and play through all the recent content. Let me pull up my mod manager here in Baldur's Gate. I'll show you guys what I use. Oh, dude, Pinball stream as Theodore the Orange. I could be, oh, dude, you sold me. Pinball Wizard it is, man. That's happening. We're definitely going to do that. For sure. Sorry, these mods are taking forever to load. My old EQ guild went to Guild Wars for a while, but yeah, I was a Guild Wars 1 guy for a long time, and then Guild Wars 2 was how I like. You want to see some, here, let me mute the audio here. You want to see some baby Ted, you go look up, is it COT? Because it stood for Chronicles of Tyria, Tyria being the world of Guild Wars. So if you search COT podcast on YouTube, you can find tons of videos of baby Ted in his old house streaming over there. That's a trip down memory lane for 2025. Yeah, I'm all out of mimosas, which is a bummer at the moment. But I do love me. Mimosas are they might be my favorite drink. I love a good scotch. I like beer. I love a dirty martini. Mimosas may be my favorite drink of all time, though. Without a doubt. Gotta finish off the champagne. See? Exactly. You guys get me. You get me so much. All right. No, classic orange juice. You know, I understand the peach Bellini and other things, mixing your other drinks. But no, I love just a classic orange juice with my mimosa. Oh, something else that's kind of probably a little niche for a lot of you. I've decided that I'm going to open a relatively small business here in 2025. And we'll do like a what's up with Nerd Immersion in 2025 video at some point, but this is a little preview of that. Many of you have seen the wizard staff that I have for my costume for Theodore the Orange. You know what? Let me just go grab it. It's right out here. Hang on. This one here, my staff that I made for my wizard character that's in Robert's game that many of you know, Theodore the Orange, right? This one, whoops, right? Orange wizard hat, dresses up. The one I had at PAX U, yeah. So this is my staff. This is the one a lot of people ask me how much I paid for it, where I got it. I made this myself. This is a tree that fell in my backyard. I stripped the bark off. I burnt concentric rings around it. I put a piece of Baltic amber. COT podcast, yes, for Baby Ted. Yes, that's it. You got to go to like episode like 20 something was when we started going to video as opposed to just doing audio, but you'll see it. So anyway, this staff, right? Tree from my backyard, burnt the concentric rings on it. I wish I agonized over LED inside this, let me tell you. So the problem that comes with trying to add lights to this, because by the way, when it lights up, it's freaking awesome because it's the amber. Here, I'll show you with the flashlight on my phone. Okay, it looks awesome, right? All sorts of coolness, right, with that. So I wanted to. The problem that you want to that you'll see with this is how do you put a light in there, and then also how do you change and or recharge the light, which was the problem, right? So if I put like a battery powered light in there that I could turn on somehow, if the battery died, then I'm shit out of luck if I like attached it permanently. So then you're like dealing with your coring into the wood somehow, and then trying to put like a charging port or something to provide light. So I ultimately decided to not do that because of just the complexity of doing that. And it's not something that I'm unfamiliar with doing because I've done cosplay stuff and all this kind of shit in the past. So it was difficult. I ultimately decided against it because of just reasons, right? I'm in both modes, by the way. American Mike. Yeah, I'm in both. I've got vertical and horizontal over here on YouTube. So take your choice. They're both available. As is TikTok, as is Twitch. Everything's available, so pick your choice. Yes, sorry, I'm streaming in multiple modes. We're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on Twitch, we're streaming on TikTok, and we're streaming in YouTube vertical. We're trying this out, so I didn't bother calling it out. It's just the thing that we're doing. I will end up putting the chat on stream so everybody can see it. This is the second time we're doing it, and we're drinking, so we're taking it easy today. So anyway, wanted to add an LED inside here. Ultimately decided against it. But a large tree fell in my backyard a month ago, right? And it has just so many branches that are of a similar shape and design to this or other wizard staffs. So, in 2025, in a limited run, I will be opening in some form. If it's Etsy, I don't know yet. I will be opening a staff store. I will be selling custom wizard staffs in a variety, and each one will be unique because they'll all be made from a tree branch that fell in my yard. So what it looks like, none of them will be the same. I'm going to be working on adding different orbs to the top, orbs, crystals, you name it. We're going to do a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to find a bunch of different options. As a geologist, we can find all sorts of fun, cool things through contacts I have and stuff to add all sorts of cool things to it. Each one will, like I said, they'll all be unique in design. They'll all have unique, I'll just pick and choose color schemes and other aspects that I want to add to it. Each one will be there. And then, yeah, I'll figure out what works as like a price point for one of these. And then, yeah, you'll be able to buy a custom Theodore the Orange crafted staff from trees to treasure, right? And we'll go ahead and make a bunch of different awesome wizard staffs. Because I actually was putting this in my car at PAX Unplugged, and the valet was like, "Yo, is that a wizard staff?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I made it myself." We were talking about it. He's like, "Dude, I'd love one of those. I'd pay so much for that." And I was just like, "Well, what would you pay?" We talked price a little bit, and he's like, shit from Universal costs so much money for like a cloak from Harry Potter. That's like a real thing. So we're going to figure out and workshop a price point. But yeah, everybody could, at least a limited run based on how many pieces of wood I can find and branches I can salvage from my backyard. And I have no shortage of woods. So like, it may be a run for a little while. And then at some point we stop the run and then we start a new run. But I absolutely, me, Ted, not document that process? Are you kidding me? That content writes itself, my friends. We will absolutely document the staff making process because that's content. Everything's content. Yeah, it depends on, how we're going to make this. So we would probably do, depending on what kind of branches and wood it's made out of, right? So we could obviously do like a stain. If we're looking to get a certain color, like we could do like a red stain or a blue stain or a black stain to kind of change the color of the staff. We could use a variety of different These are all hardwood trees too. None of these are like pine trees. So we could just do things like a wipe-on polyurethane, which is what's on this staff to kind of keep it sealed. And then obviously you've got gloss matte and satin finish. We could also just do things like if the particular, the design of the wood itself is really awesome in and of itself, we could do things like a linseed oil or some sort of kind of oil itself to just keep the natural colors of the wood itself. We'd come up with a variety of different options, and it will be based on that. Like, so this branch, I took a torch, you can see, and I burnt like kind of alternating patterns around this to give it some sort of color and shape to the wood to make it look a little bit more unique. I mean, we could just take one and just char the whole damn thing with a torch, and then it would be black and it would be charred. Or we could char the whole thing and then scrape off the char. We could even carve some of these where we cut. I thought about doing one where I was going to do like a crystal on the top and then maybe getting like a thick gauge copper wire and like coring a hole like around the whole staff and then inlaying a piece of like copper wire around the whole thing all the way down. The world is our oyster when it comes to these designs. The only thing I'm probably not going to do, unless you're a very, very, very close friend, is do custom designs. Like, because then it just becomes a whole other thing, and obviously the price is going to skyrocket if we're doing something custom, because I'm limited in the wood that I find in the backyard, so the design of it's going to just be what we find. Maybe, like choice. So, like, I was going to originally, because I just happen to have it right here. Where did I throw it out? I might have thrown it out. I had just like a big orange acrylic orb that I was gonna put on the top up here. That's just like totally clear orange. It was a lot heavier. It was a lot bigger. That's what I was gonna do originally for the top of that staff. And I could get different acrylic orbs in different sizes. Like that's a piece of Baltic amber, so that's like a real piece of amber that costs a little bit more. That's like an upcharge essentially. We could do like crystals, kind of more like the Gandalf style crystal that he had in the movie on the top of the staff. Maybe work that in, do something like that. That is like, is it removable? Does it have lights? That kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that I'm thinking about, because like, right, so here's a set of like fairy lights, right? These lights are obviously very thin. You could obviously take and wrap fairy lights like this around a staff. These ones are red. I don't even know if you can see that they're lit up, right? But here's your battery pack, right? 3 AA batteries. Where are you hiding this? Inside the staff. Now, if you want to have a staff with wraps, where it's got like material wrapped around it or something, then maybe you can do that. You kind of wrap this in the cloth, and then you don't see it, and then you can just kind of reach in, turn the lights off, and if you need to, you kind of pull the wraps apart, you swap the batteries out, you put them back in, turn the lights back on. Those are obviously options of things you can do, but this all comes down to the logistics of whether or not it'll fit in the staff. So yeah, each one would be different, and I already have some. Let me see. Let me go ahead and let's see. Maybe I can pull it up and show you guys this picture that happened, and then we're going to do those Baldur Gate 3 mods that we were talking about that we just got heavily distracted from. Let's see here. Where is that? Here it is. All right, let's see. Let's see if this will work. Let's do it. Yeah. So here is a tree that fell in my backyard. Right? Oh, can you guys not see that? You can't see it on the vertical. Whoops. Properties. There it So it's just a ton of branches of varying sizes and shapes. And this was like the perfect tree for that. So you could see all of these. So many of these can be cut off and debarked and whittled and adjusted. So it blew off the top of a tree in my backyard. It just broke right off during some wind. So, but you can also see like all these woods back here behind my house. I just have like a pile of branches back there. So we have plenty of options to make a bunch of staves for people. So again, people saying like attach a flashlight and then hollow it out. I mean, one, it's a lot easier than it sounds to hollow out a staff or a piece of wood to stick a flashlight inside it. It's doable, don't get me wrong. But that's why a lot of people who make stabs with lights make them out of like PVC and then like make them look like wood with clay, because that's easier to manipulate. You have a whole open core of PVC to run your lights down, and then you just sculpt in the clay where you put the batteries and stuff. That's easier to do, but I wanted something that was like, it's a solid piece of wood and it feels like that. The other thing is, I don't want the orb to just pop off and go rolling somewhere, which is the other aspect of, you need to make sure if you were to say glue that to a flashlight, how are you going to make sure that that orb stays inside and that flashlight stays inside there, that it doesn't just, when you swing it, because you're going to swing it, because we know this, you're going to pretend like you're Gandalf and you're fighting, and you don't want to whoop, and there goes your orb and your flashlight goes flying off and the distance. It's got to be, secured. So like that orb on mine, it's epoxied on there. It ain't going anywhere. Like, that's stuck. That's a fixture of that staff permanently. And I knew that going in, but anyway, that's my point. That's a future fun little business endeavor, which also, like, the other aspect of this is it's not going to become like my main focus or my main business. This is going to be like a fun side thing that I can do. And I can maybe do polls and stuff on YouTube or wherever and just be like, hey, what color do you think we should do this staff? And it could be like a black stain, it could be a blue stain, or it could just be natural color stain, or, use like linseed oil or something else. Another thing you can do is you could coffee stain it, right? That's a thing. You get some really like instant coffee and you could coffee stain it. And then it'd be like, how much more of a TED staff could you have? A piece of wood from my backyard stained with coffee? I mean, come on now. Right? So, again, there's nuancy bits to get to. So we'll get there. Now, we had talked about Baldur's Gate 3 mods. Let's go do that real quick. Yeah, it could definitely be giveaway stuff as well. Let me get this up for the vertical folks. Where is that? Here we go. All right, here we go. So, for those of you asking, yeah, blue stain and some sort of citrine or topaz. Yeah, basically make it. We could do staff of fire, staff of lightning, whatever. Just whatever is tickling my fancy at the moment, basically. So, for those of you asking about my BG3 mods, this is what I've got. There are some redundant mods here. So, I added the Spirits Bard, right, as an option here. There's a couple different of these 5 conversion, like 5R or whatever conversions. These are ones that converted to 2024. I added a lot of just like cosmetic odds. This is the pumpkin pie hairstyle. This is just a specific magic item for sorcerers. This is a better marks your inventory UI. This is the adjustable party limit. Let your party limit go all the way anywhere between 1 and 16 party members. This is just a simple quality of life that makes all your chests look like they're open after you've opened them, so you know whether you've been there or not. This lets the wizard have any spells that are in the wizard's spell book are always prepared. I did this because that's how Robert runs it in his game, and I made Theodore the Orange in Baldur's Gate 3, so I figured, what the hell not? I had a lot of things about dyeing to change like the way you dye your clothes and stuff to try to give you better options for that. Again, cleaning up your inventory. We added the Blade Singer. Obviously, that's not going to be necessary once the new patch drops. We added differences here, and this is you'll get pop-ups on screen in your UI that will say whether they missed you or you blocked it. So that's the difference of like they missed your armor class versus like you differences in dexterity versus equipment. Just a fun little thing there. This is upgrading the Blood of the Thunder to make it, a little bit stronger, adding some extra damage to it. This is adding Changeling as a playable race. More dying options and special armors. Again, community library here. Again, adding more stuff there. Different colors for your Dragonborn. This added the vestiges of the Divergence from Critical Role as magic items that you can have in the game. Obviously, here's the crowd control app. Again, more Dragonborn options. This is the Death Domain Cleric. This is probably the best one for the 2024 all-in-one, which is going to convert everybody over to 2024 rules, adjust the backgrounds, all that stuff. It's very well documented as well. Because we've been doing this and I've played it so much, I just added a double XP mod to just not have to deal with the intro bits so much. Again, more Dragonborn NPC stuff. Since I was going to be playing a Dragonborn, I knew that in Tyranny of Dragons, I wanted to have options in case I wanted to build out my character in Baldur's Gate to send an image to the artist, come up with different horn options. Again, this was probably redundant. This is the 2024 Dwarf, probably redundant with some of the other options there. Again, here's more dye options here. This is to add the tutorial chest back to your inventory because so many people add their stuff to the tutorial chest. Adding more Eldritch Invocations. Again, this is Esther's Brilliant Acquisitions. I really like this mod. So Esther in the Mountain Pass has access to all of the items that you'd basically have to do something you might not want to do to get it. So like if it's like, oh, you have to kill this person, or oh, you have to do this one specific thing to do that, she basically has all of those items. And it kind of explains it here, right? Like if you wanted to if you don't have a druid in your party and you want to get the pale oak staff from the grove, she would have that options for you. Again, a bunch of face customization mods. Fade's equipment distribution just adds a bunch of new items to new vendors and new locations. I like that one a lot. Again, more color options. Here's adding feather braids to your hair. This is, again, adding more weapons that are only available from certain vendors. This is the mod that allows that to happen. This is basically to make Theodore the Orange a thing, was these Gandalf equipment, which is essentially Elminster's armor and stuff. I didn't realize that they were both this. So this one is basically gives you the base version of all of Gandalf's gear that you have to go around and upgrade through the course of the game. This just gives you all of them, so you can start with a bunch of crazy gear. Again, more hair options. This makes the Hellrider's Pride gloves work on the person using them. This is really cool. It adds hip sheathing. So when people have weapons, they sheathe them on their hips as opposed to on their back. Because somewhere in here, I also have back sheathing where it puts the shields on your back. Just improving your UI, giving you unlimited inspiration capacity. Again, more dye mods, more hair mods for your customization. This gives you access to any of the items that they used to have or were in the game that Larian removed. Again, more customization options. This just makes it so Longstrider lasts until you die, basically, so you don't have to keep re-upping Longstrider. More hair options, a ton more beard options. One of the beard options adds a permanent cigar to your mouth, which I really like. Again, this is just adding a scythe. We've added Mistra's spells, so a ton of extra spells to the game, giving you the NPC hair options. This one, again, probably redundant at this point, but was adding the updated healing for 1D&D. Again, adding all the feats, the origin feats. This lets you summon the Owlbear Cub as a familiar, so similar to Scratch. More bangs and dyes and Dragonborn scales. This is the big one that probably a lot of you will want to know about, is the random spawn generator with optional difficulty boost. This is a big one. So what it does is essentially you will have a variety of random spawns. You can turn and toggle these on and off. One of these will basically be, sometimes you'll just be walking around and enemies will spawn in where there were no enemies. Another is that you can turn on all the NPCs have scaling improved health. There's one that you can turn on where all the enemies will just get random buffs throughout the longer the combat goes, so they're harder to defeat. Some will turn on what they call combat spawns, which basically spawns in a portal in combat that you have to wait a whole turn till it spawns something in, and then you have to destroy the portal, or if it gets to the portal's turn again, it will spawn in additional enemies and keep spawning enemies until you destroy the portal. And sometimes the portal can spawn other portals, so it will just keep adding enemies to the game. I think I played this one where we were fighting like the forge creature. I forget what the hell it's called, but like the big iron forge creature, and it spawned in like a spectator in the middle of combat for that. You can also put in ability mirroring, where the enemies will learn from your attacks and your abilities and then start being able to mimic what you do to add more complexity to it. Again, more options here. Adding the goblin race so people can play goblins. More customization options. Optional other things for clerics. Making the spirit guardians aura the proper aura, the size that it's supposed to be. This adds all the feats from Tasha's. This adds Diablo-style treasure goblins that just appear randomly and spawn at random locations, and then if you kill them, they'll drop loot. Twilight Domain. Here's what I was talking about visibly stowing your shield on your back. This makes paladin auras visible so you can see them. Weightless gold. This is the wildfire druid. And then, again, more options there. So for those of you curious, those are the mods that I'm using in Baldur's Gate 3 to make my sort of heavily modified game available, to make it much more difficult and a more unique experience, because it is basically a whole new game with these mods turned on. But anyway, I rambled for even longer than I thought I would. So I'm going to bring this stream to a close. So I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out and chatting. I will be back on later tonight in about 7.5 hours or so from this current time period. Whether we're playing D&D depends on how bad Jake's hangover is. Otherwise, we'll be playing something. We'll either be playing Baldur's Gate 3 with this heavy modified version, maybe with crowd control turned on, or we'll just be doing Marvel Rivals. Friday night, like I said, I'll be on Thursday night. I'll be over on Robert's channel. There'll be videos coming out in between here as well. Friday night, I think we're gonna finish building the D&D Lego set, and then we'll do more minis Saturday morning. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching on whatever platform you happen to be watching